Alright guys, today we're going to talk about what's in my 75-gallon tank. I have maybe close to 35 fish in here, but I had a lot of questions about what is in my 75-gallon tank. This is about a 280-liter tank if you're not in the US. But if you go ahead and take a look at the tank, the first thing you probably see is this guy right here, right? So I actually have two electric blue Acaras in the tank. They are a Chiclid, but they're pretty peaceful. So if you had your eye on them, but you heard that they're a Chiclid and think they're aggressive, that's not so much the case. They're a pretty peaceful fish for a Chiclid, but they do get kind of territorial, I guess, around each other. So I do have two electric blue Acaras in this 75-gallon tank. One's a female and one's a male. I'm hoping I can get them to mate and pair off, but it doesn't look to be the case as of yet. But these are really beautiful fish. They get about anywhere between 4 and 6 inches, so they're almost full grown now. They may get about another inch longer or so, but they're almost at as big as they're going to get for, I guess, their size. Like I said, they are pretty peaceful, but they do like to dig in the sand and they do like to pull at your plants. So if you have a lot of stem plants, these guys are probably going to tear them up. My stem plants in the back here, they get pulled up all the time. But my Amazon swords and my Java fern and my Crypt, they're normally safe. They try to tug at them, I catch them all the time, but they never really pull out those plants. So as long as you got a plant with kind of a more intense root system, it's going to stay intact. They're not going to be able to pull it out. Just an FYI for these guys here, but they are a really good looking fish. So if you had your eye on them, I say go ahead and get them. When I bought these fish, they were probably only about this big, maybe about 1.5 inches. And I got them for 20 bucks. So about that size, they retail for about 20 bucks. If you want to get them about this size, you're probably going to have to pay double that. So just keep that in mind, right? The size that you'll get these guys at will also depend the price as well, right? But that's a little bit about the electric blue Acara. Really beautiful fish, very hardy and easy to take care of. They eat just about anything as well, which is great, so they're not picky. The other fish that you can probably see immediately is the blood parrot here. Now he's still a little baby. He has a ways to grow. He will be anywhere from 6 to 8 inches. Now this is another Chiclid. This one is probably going to be a little bit more aggressive, but he's overall still more of a peaceful Chiclid, which is great. So he'll do just fine in this community type tank. Overall, this community tank is a semi-aggressive tank. All of the fish that we're about to take a look at here in my tank are semi-aggressive, with the exception of maybe just a couple. But the parrot, the blood parrot Chiclid here, definitely a very intelligent fish. He's an oddball. He'll swim sideways and upside down to take a better look at things. He also likes digging through the dirt and just navigating through everything. Now the thing about this guy, when it comes time for feeding, he's going to gobble up everything. He's going to steal food from the other fish. So if you do get one of these, you got to make sure you have a fish that can kind of handle that. That's either fast or semi-aggressive or kind of tough to kind of get its own food, because this guy will take all the food available. But another really bright orange fish that you can see swimming around here. He's also very hardy. So he's not too sensitive to water changes. And he's not picky when it comes time for feeding either. So another really good fish that's easy to care for, easy to keep, and a very active fish too. So you're going to see him moving all over the place. which is really nice. The other fish that I have two of these smaller Peacock Chiclids. I have a yellowish one that just ran behind the rock, and I have a dark gray one swimming around here as well. Both of those will get between 4 and 6 inches. They are a little bit more aggressive than the other cichlids, but their aggression tends to be among themselves. So they're doing all right so far. You'll see them chasing each other from time to time. This is the more dominant one out of the two, this yellow one. If he sees the dark gray one, he'll go chase after him. And what's funny is I just rescaped this tank, right? Maybe just a couple months ago. And it was the opposite. That dark gray Peacock Chiclid was the dominant one at the time, and he would chase the yellow one all over the place. But ever since I rescaped it and took the fish out, and then once I finished scaping, put the fish back in, the yellow one is more dominant now. So it was interesting to see that like switch between which is the more dominant fish between those two. But they're another really cool fish. They dig through the sand. They're gonna pull out your plants, so you'll just have to be careful about that if you have a lot of plants. So make sure you have some good hardy plants with a good root system if you want to keep those fish. The next thing you probably notice are all of these barbs here. So I do have tiger barbs, I have green barbs, and I have an albino tiger barb. So tiger barbs kind of get a bad rap, right? Because they are semi-aggressive and they are fin nippers. So they do go after each other from time to time. But what you'll notice is that if you have a large group of barbs, then their aggression seems to be pretty low. So if you take a look at them now, they're just kind of hanging out. And that's typically what they do. But I have about 15 barbs here between the tiger barbs and the green barbs. Now the cool thing, and one of the big reasons why I chose tiger barbs and green barbs, is because tiger barbs and green barbs will school together, right? As you can see, they're all kind of hanging out. The tiger barbs and the green barbs all in the same school here. And that's really cool, so that you get a school effect, but with different color variations. Well, we have the green and blue of the green barbs, and then we have obviously the tiger barb. Now what I do notice, and I can't explain it, but about once a month they will just go, it'll be a war zone in there, and for whatever reason they're just really aggressive towards each other, and they will just, you'll see them flying there, and they move so fast. But they'll just be battling something out. It'll last maybe about 5 minutes, and then they'll calm down and kind of group together and just dig through the dirt. But tiger barbs, green barbs are really cool schooling fish that's semi-aggressive, that can hold their own between these other cichlids. And they're super fast. Although this parrot right here tries to eat all the food, these guys are still gonna get their fair share because they're just that kind of fish. So a really cool, really hardy fish, great for a semi-aggressive community tank. So if you're thinking about these guys, I highly recommend them, but I would say get a large group of them. Get about 10 of them, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them, and that way the aggression that they do have from time to time will be spread throughout the group. Because what happens if you only have 2, 3, 4 of them, although that's okay, right, to have a smaller group, that one barb may get picked on more than the rest, which could lead to, you know, death or injury or something. But when you have a larger group like this, I have about 15 of them, the aggression never lasts too long on any one particular tiger barb or green barb, which is great. The other fish that I have in this tank are the Serpae Tetras. So they're the red, here you go, they're the red ones back there. And you know, these tetras, they can hold their own, right? And there's about 7 in here. They are a community fish. They are peaceful, but they're not going to run away when one of these larger fish are swimming towards them, right? They'll get out of the way, but they're not going to duck and cover and run. Now, if you have a peaceful fish that whenever other fish are swimming towards them, if they're going to just dart out of the way, that instinctually makes the other fish want to chase and eat them, right? And so a good rule of thumb for a semi-aggressive community tank is to make sure that any fish that you do have, even if they're smaller, that they're not going to run away, right? They kind of feel confident enough to just move out of the way rather than run away. Now, if we look at maybe rummy-nosed tetras, if you had rummy-nosed tetras in here, they're pretty skimmish. They're going to run away, and that's going to cause these other fish to pick on them, right? And they're not going to last too long. But the Serpae Tetras, they do a great job at holding their own, and they're laser fast. They're able to get all the food that they need, even though there's a ton of other fish in here. So the other fish that I have in here are the Platies. So there's 3 generations of Platies in here. I have so many Platies. For those of you who have live bearers, so that's your mollies, your Platies, your guppies, they're gonna multiply like crazy. So I have maybe about 5 Platies in here. I have about 7 in my 20-gallon, but I keep most of my Platies in an outdoor planter that I filled up with water. And that's where I have maybe about 15 to 20 Platies hanging out outside. They've been living outside for about a year now. So this summer I'm gonna redo that planter pond, whatever you want to call it, where I'm keeping the Platies. So if you're interested in seeing something like that, comment below if you want to see me rebuild that, if you're interested in that type of content. But the Platies, the female Platies can get pretty big, as you can see, right? That's a decent size for a Platy, about 2 inches or so, maybe 3 inch. Now they are a peaceful fish, but they definitely hold their own among all these other fish. They normally stick to themselves towards the top layer of the fish tank. And what I like about Platies is, one, they're indestructible. They breed like crazy. But Platies, believe it or not, they're some of the best algae eaters I've had, right? And I even had Ottos, which, almost exclusively eat algae. These guys will eat any algae. You'll see them all the time picking stuff off the leaves or off the glass or off the driftwood. So they're really good fish to help maintain your tank. And they're really hardy and easy to keep as well. Now the other fish that I have that you can't see now, I'm going to try to get a montage of it when it's feeding time so you can see them come out. But I do have a school of Cory Cats. So the Cory Cats help maintain the bottom. Oh, I got one back here, if you can see over here, back behind the Amazon sword. I have about 7, I think, Cory Cats, and I got a few Venezuelan Cory Cats and a few of the peppered Cory Cats as well. So they're hanging out back in this area and back in here a little bit. And they help maintain the bottom of the tank. Anything that these guys don't eat, the Cory Cats are going to pick up. And not only that, because they kind of move around like this at the bottom of the tank, they help get all the debris up in the filter to help keep the sand nice and white and clean, which is really great. That's what you want. Now these Cory Cats also breed like crazy, but the eggs normally don't hatch into little fry because these guys are going to eat it before that happens, right? Even though I got a lot of vegetation, all these fish are really good about going in between all the Amazon swords and all the Java fern just to explore. And when they find food, they're going to eat it, right? I do have one other type of fish in here, and I don't know if I'll be able to get a shot of that because he only comes out at night. but I have a spotted Raphael catfish. If I can get a shot of it, I will, but I'll probably just put a Google image up. But he's a little catfish. He'll probably only get about this big, and he's about this big already. And he's a cool little catfish. He's black with white spots, and he has like an armored back. So he just kind of swims and he just rams into stuff, and he gobbles up anything that isn't eaten at night. I normally feed him and the Cory Cats this food right here. These are sinking pellets, which are good for loaches, Cory Cats, catfish, and that way he can get some food, and he's not, you know, left to starve if there's really nothing here. So the cleanup crew is essential for this tank, right? The Cory Cats, and the Raphael spotted catfish, they help keep the tank clean from the bottom. And the Platys help make sure that all the algae and diatom is being taken care of from the upper layers, which is really great. But that's what I have in my 75-gallon tank. If you like this content, go ahead and give it a like, and make sure to subscribe as well for future videos. Thanks, guys.